Heavy
Bored.
Now, you were saying you think when people say everything's been done, that's bullshit.
Yeah.
So why don't you tell us a little bit about those thoughts real quick?
For me, and because I remember being in grad school and being like, what if I'm trying to do something different, blah blah, and then people would be like, well, everything's been done before, who cares? And I felt, one, I didn't believe it. Like, I couldn't tell myself, oh, everything's been done before, so it doesn't matter. I think it's a very small-minded way, and not only is it small-minded way of thinking, I think it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. So if you believe that everything's been done before, well, then how are you ever going to reach beyond the kind of realm of the known or the limitations of the known? And there are limits, right? Like, we're talking about words can only do so much, and you see artists, particularly poets, really bump up against those limits, where that's the whole point of the art, is how far can you go with this kind of limiting framework of just words. Some like Shakespeare and others just invent fucking words, Berryman, and just invent fucking words, and that's awesome. And they weren't sitting there thinking, oh, it's all been done before, I can't invent a new word. It's like, yeah, I fucking can. Like, no, like, not everything is like, how could we ever say that? Like, we discover new things every day, and every time, Kale writes about this, where everyone's like, oh, these are the rules for movie making, until somebody breaks them and it's great. And we're like, whoa, now the rules have changed. Like, you should be going for that. I'm not saying you'll achieve it every time. It's really hard, to achieve it every time. But yeah, there is this kind of death, like, attitude around literature in general right now. And I get it, the sales are down. I get it, it's not as culturally important. I get it, it's harder than ever to get your book into people's hands and make them notice you and seriously consider it. But like, I just feel like if we have that attitude that it's already over, that everything's already been done before we even step foot. Like, I wasn't fucking born until like the 90s, bro. Like, fuck all that shit that came before me. I don't care. Like, I mean, I want to absorb it, but I want to take it to the next level. And I think Bloom says this in very eloquently, a lot of essays, where he says there's a fear a lot of writers have, where they think, oh, that's been done before, or, Shakespeare did it better than me. And that could be true when you're starting out, right? Because we're not that good. We're just starting. We're trying things. We don't know exactly. But then he says, but actually there is everything to be thought and said if you have an original idea, an original thinking process, an original voice. You can do anything. Sky is the limit. This is the beauty of art. This is why we love art. Like, this is why we are so passionate about it.
Inner resources, American resources.
Being bored,
some activities are intentional, right?
it shows such a lack of gratitude for life. Bored. I aspire to boredom, I should say.
Bored. Heavy.
I am heavy.
Bored.
Has you the night sweats and the day sweats, pal? Pal, I do.